Okay, we want to welcome Brian Hart again. And you know Brian because he's done 2 presentations for us. So you need to check those out on our YouTube page. It's getting the men we love off meat, and then how to make the hard choices during the holidays the easy choice. So those 2 are there. And then we'll have a drop-in visit with Ann and Jane Esselstyn later. And they are also on our YouTube page already because they told us all about their new book, The Woman Warrior Cookbook. So let's get started. Brian, what have you got for us today?
All right, Kathy, thank you so much. Vicki, thank you so much for having me back to Chat and Chew. We love our Chat and Chew community.
Chat and Chew Chew.
Jane's hooting in the background for Chat and Chew. Tonight, we are really excited to dive into label reading and what we call keeping it simple. As you can imagine, when people first go plant-based, there's this kind of overwhelming sense of like, oh my gosh, I've got to learn all this, and what am I supposed to eat, and what am I not supposed to eat? And so we're going to try to simplify that and empower you, because we really want you to become label reading ninjas. People who can walk into a food store and pick up a product and within 30 seconds, if not less than that, be able to figure out if it's a healthy choice for you or not. And that's what we're going to start off with. And then we're going to pass it over to Ann and Jane, the queens of plant-based shopping and label reading and cooking. And they're going to show you some of their favorite products. They're also going to talk through sort of things to watch out for. Things like, for instance, an example might be like, buying black beans that aren't the low salt version, that they have a ton of salt in them, and just to be wary of that kind of thing. Because remember, our guidelines, if you took all of our cookbooks and books that the Esselstyn Foundation or the Esselstyn family have put together, and you simmered it all down like maple syrup down to the essence, you would ultimately come up with, we don't eat meat, we don't eat dairy products, we don't eat any added oils, we don't add oil, and we try to avoid products that have added oils. And we say minimal salt, minimal sweet. And you obviously don't want to go overboard on any of those things. And so let's go ahead and dive right in. I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started. So thanks again for having us. We love presenting to you all. So the Esselstyn Foundation. So just a quick reminder, the Esselstyn Foundation, we are a 501c3 publicly supported charity that has the goal of not only preventing, but reversing lifestyle-related diseases through the promotion of a plant-based diet, of plant-based nutrition. That's our mission. And, our vision statement is we would love to eradicate lifestyle-related diseases. That's our perfect world where people don't have to suffer from things like heart disease and type 2 diabetes and certain forms of cancer. And we want to do that through nutrition. And I can't tell you how many people reach out to us each week and tell us, oh my gosh, my rheumatoid arthritis has gotten better, or my lupus has gone away. I don't have to take medication anymore. My knee joints that used to ache don't ache anymore. It's really just astounding when you change what's on your plate, what happens. So I can't stress that enough. All right. So label reading, we all really want you to become these label reading ninjas, because it is so important. And as you know, the food industry knows very well that we all love salt, sugar, and fat. And so they pump their products full of this stuff, so we get addicted to it, because they're not interested in our health. Most food companies are not interested in your health. They're interested in profit. And what's the best way to sell things to make a profit is to get you addicted to them, whether you're talking about cigarettes or alcohol or food or gambling or shopping or whatever it is. And so you've got to be able to pick up a product and say, is that gonna help me meet my long-term goals as a person who wants to be healthy, or is this just part of what we would call the pleasure trap? Is this just going to get me stuck in this endless wheel of pleasure, 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 and never finding the health and the vitality that I want? All right, so why are we doing this? Becoming a skilled label reader is about learning how to separate the junk from the real food in a matter of really just a few seconds. We have a couple little rules we're going to show you, and you will quickly realize that it is really fast and it works almost every time. And so by applying this handful of fast and simple rules, navigating the grocery store can be quite simple. I can't tell you how many emails we get a week where someone will say, well, what do you think about this? Here's this product. And the front of the products, makes all these amazing claims about health and reversing cancer and all these things. And then, they say, people ask us, well, do you think this is legitimate? Do you think this is legitimate? And I have to say that probably 7 to 8 times out of 10, the answer is probably not likely, because the research just isn't there. And of course, as humans, we tend to be reductionist in our thinking. We want to simmer things down and just have one simple answer, like take one vitamin, it's going to solve all your problems. And of course, that's not the way food works. That's not the way health works. All right, so let's empower ourselves with this knowledge to be able to separate the wheat from the chaff, as they say. So just to clarify again, what are we actually looking for when we go shopping? Well, what we want are, of course, vegetables of all kinds, especially leafy greens. If there's anything you take from tonight's presentation, is a reminder that leafy greens are the powerhouse vegetable of the vegetable world. They are chock full of so many antioxidants and phytonutrients and all the stuff that's going to help us crush cancer and reverse heart disease and live a healthy life. So if there's anything you remember tonight, eat your leafy greens: kale, collard, Swiss chard, beet greens, Napa cabbage, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, all these amazing leafy greens. Fruits, fresh or frozen, of course. Remember, frozen is just as good as fresh in many cases, and in some cases better than when it's fresh, because they're flash frozen right when those foods are harvested. We want you to eat intact whole grains: brown rice, oats, quinoa, farro, bulgur, polenta. We want to steer clear of white rice, white flour, because these things have been stripped of all their fiber. Remember, 95% of Americans are fiber deficient. They're making all these products that are made that are like fiber supplements, Metamucil, and all these different things, these laxatives to help people go to the bathroom. As I'm sure Chat and Chew would back me up on, if you start eating a whole food plant-based diet, you will not have to worry about that.
No, you don't.
As Jane always says, it's a moving experience becoming plant-based. And so 100% whole grain items, we're going to avoid things like when we're buying bread and pasta and tortillas, we're going to make sure that they don't have added oils. As Jane says, unnecessary roughness. We don't need that. Legumes.
Unnecessary roughage.
Unnecessary roughage. No, that wouldn't make sense.
No, I said necessary.
Oh, necessary roughage. Legumes. There are over 100 different types of peas, lentils, and legumes in the world. We want to eat them. This is what has made the world go round for centuries. The idea of meat at every meal is a modern invention. Nobody eats meat at every meal, so unless maybe you're an Eskimo, an Inuit, or you're an American. Plant garnishes. These are things that we use in limited quantities just because they're really high in fat. So avocados, walnuts, chia seeds, flax seeds, plant-based milks we like on our cereal. We're not chugging them every day. And then dried fruit. Just realize that they're more calorie dense, and you want to be careful with those things. Dr. Esselstyn, especially with his heart patients, usually tries to get them, people who have significant heart disease and they've had a stent or a bypass, we want them to probably avoid avocados and walnuts because those are higher in fat. So, and then last but not least, we're going to drink water. We're going to drink tea, decaf coffee, and then alternative milks we'll put on our cereal. So that's what we're looking for when we go shopping. This should be your shopping list. But there are sometimes, products that you're going to want to buy that are what we might call more processed than just totally whole food. So what are we going to watch out for? As I mentioned earlier, we're not going to eat anything that has meat in it. That includes, chicken broth, anything like that. It's why? Just lots of saturated fat, and there's all these problematic contents in meat, things like carnitine and TMAO, and these things that inflame your system. Dairy products are chock full of saturated fat. Remember, they're the #1 source of saturated fat in the American diet is dairy products. Eggs, way too high in cholesterol and fat. Extracted oils. These are the oils that everyone always says, olive oil, coconut oil, canola oil. People will often ask us, well, where do you get your healthy oils or your healthy fats? And you have to remember there's fat in everything. Even when you squeeze a lemon over a candle, it'll spurt and it'll spew little flames. There's even little bits of fat in that. And so remember, this is not a no fat diet. It's just a no added fat diet. We want to keep fat down low, maybe 10% of our diet, 12% of our diet. We're avoiding refined breads, baked goods, and pastas. That means white flour. Excesses of sugar, fat, and salt are not going to do your body any good at all. And of course, we live in a society where this, salt, sugar, and fat is pumped into everything. So we want to be careful about that. So let's answer this question, first of all, like, what is a whole food? So we want to eat foods that are, in most cases, as close to their natural state as possible. When we're looking at breads and pastas, as I mentioned, you want to look for things that are whole. So you're looking for words when the word wheat is used. You want to look for words like rolled, whole, cracked, or stone ground. This means they're 100% whole. If it just says wheat or durum wheat or semolina wheat, that means it's white. We want to look for whole wheat, rolled whole wheat, cracked whole wheat, stone ground wheat. As well, you want to, of course, embrace all the other amazing whole grains like brown rice and millet and quinoa, like I mentioned before. Why? It's because they have the hulls on them and they have not been stripped. And remember, most of the vitamins and minerals and fiber in a whole grain are actually often in the outside layer, which is what we strip off when we make things into white rice or white flour. Okay, so calorie density, and you'll see when we go over our examples of label reading that you want to do your best to choose foods that are low in calorie density. So the great news is you can eat a lot more of them and get full. Remember, foods that are low in calorie density tend to be full of more fiber and more water. Here's a great example. A strawberry is 4 calories. It has 0% fat. A potato is about 150 calories. It has 0% fat. And then if you look at like a tablespoon of olive oil, it has 120 calories and it's 100% fat. And a Starbucks mocha frappuccino is about 500 calories. So this is calorie density in a nutshell. Like one strawberry is 4 calories. And you can eat a lot of strawberries and you're going to get full before you're going to equal 500. This is 500 calories of a variety of different foods. So oil, 500 calories, cheese, 500 calories. You can see you're not full. Your stomach's going to be only slightly stretched. But if you eat 500 calories of vegetables and fruit, your stomach's going to be stretched. What should we drink? I mentioned this earlier. We're going to stick to water. Coffee, tea are okay. This is another calorie density issue. And so think of all the stuff that most Americans drink in a day: orange juice for breakfast, coffee with cream, a Coke with lunch, coffee in the afternoon, lemonade with dinner, and then a white wine to relax at night. That's 800 calories. That's almost half your daily caloric needs just in liquids, and they're not going to fill you up. We mentioned the big three. We're going to talk about these a lot when we get to the labels. So this is just a quick review. So reading labels. The first rule of reading labels is never, ever, ever, ever trust the front of the box. They're going to make all kinds of claims. And in some cases, companies have been sued by Better Business Bureaus and things like that, because they make these claims about what their product does. So you see all these labels like fat-free, sugar-free, 100% vitamin C, non-GMO, immune support, heart healthy, which is probably one of the scariest labels you can find. They'll put heart healthy on the front of a box of Ritz crackers because it's got, a tiny little bit of whole grains or something. And so again, just remember, never, ever, ever trust the front of the label. So these are our rules. And they're very simple, and you're going to get a lot of chances to practice this because I'm going to go over a bunch of examples. So if you don't get this right away, no worries, because you're going to see a lot of examples coming up. But generally, our rules are is that we want the calories from fat in the item that we're purchasing to never exceed 25%. So usually we shoot for much lower, but 25 is absolutely the ceiling on how much fat of calories per total calories. So we're looking at serving. So for instance, on this product, which is one of the older food labels, I'll show you a new one in a moment. You can see the calories is 10 per serving, 100 per serving. Calories from fat is 10. So that's 10%. That's easy. And so we don't want to ever exceed 25%. So the first thing you do is when you flip a product, just look at the label and figure out calories from fat and pretty much, the majority of the products you're going to pick up are probably going to exceed that. So you're going to look for that. I want the calories from fat to be 25% or less. Now, sodium, another thing that's a really easy one to read, is you're going to look at calories per serving, which in this case is 100. You're going to scroll down and look at sodium. And it says in this one, 10 milligrams of sodium. And so you never want to exceed what we would call a 1-to-1 ratio. So calories per serving is 100. Sodium, it could go all the way up to 100 milligrams of sodium and still be okay. So 1-to-1 ratio or less of sodium when it's compared to calories per serving. So you're just looking at calories, 100, sodium, 10 milligrams. So we like whatever this sample product is, we're fine with it. 10 milligrams of sodium, that's a tiny amount. We're also going to look in the ingredients for words like cracked, whole, rolled, or stone ground. If it's got wheat in it, we're going to read the ingredients as well and make sure that in the first 3 ingredients, we don't see any sort of sweetener like sugar cane, syrup. And remember, anything that ends in ose, O-S-E, is a sugar of some sort. So fructose, sucrose, all these things that are like malt barleys and honeys and molasses. These are all sweeteners. So we don't want that to be in the first 3 ingredients. And then last but not least, if anything has oil of any sort, a shortening, high fructose corn syrup, obviously, eggs, milk, butter, casein, which remember is the protein in dairy products, meat, fish, and poultry. So now those are our rules. So again, they're pretty easy if you think about it. Calories from fat under 25%. Sodium, 1-to-1 ratio of calories to sodium milligrams. We're going to look for 100% whole wheat products. We're going to avoid anything that's got sweeteners in the first 3 ingredients. And then last but not least, we're going to avoid any of these little things, which will be obvious if you were looking at a label. So let's take a look here. The label on the left here is one of the old labels. And so believe it or not, it used to be easier with the old labels to read a label. So because they automatically lay out calories from fat, but they've actually changed the labels to the one on the right, which I'll talk about in a moment. So in this case, on the old label, it's pretty easy. Calories, 110, calories from fat, 20. So how does this product do? So 110, so is 20 less than 25% of 110? Yes, it is. So we like this product. We appreciate this product. Let's scroll down here. Sodium, 20 milligrams. Is that less than 110? We're looking at total calories, and then 20 milligrams, we're comparing that, looking for a 1-to-1 ratio or less. 20 milligrams, way less than 110, so we like that. And of course, we haven't seen the ingredients yet. And then, so just know that that's the old label, and some products still have the old label, but I think under a new law, they have to switch to the new label soon. So the new label is actually a little trickier. This is where you got to do a little bit of math, and who knows why. If I want to sound a little bit like a conspiracy theorist and talk about why the labels change, I sometimes wonder if maybe the food industry had something to do with it to make it harder to figure out, the nutritious quality of the new products. So the new label lists total fat. And then it lists calories just like the other one. So compared to the other one, you can see it still lists calories per serving, which is 110. But it doesn't list calories from fat. So you have to do a little bit of math. And so total fat, just look at total fat, which is 2.5 grams. And there are about 9 calories in a gram of fat. So you have to do a little bit of math. But because I'm lazy and I was an English and history major, I don't like to have to do too much math. And so I just rounded up to 10. So all you have to do is take 2.5, multiply it times 10, and you got 25. So again, it's a little higher than it should be because I'm multiplying by 10. So it's about, roughly around the 20 from the old label. So again, to repeat that, to make it simple, just look at total fat, multiply by 10, make it easy, just move the decimal place, it's 25. Is that under 25% of calories from fat? Yes. So that's how I read that label.
That's much easier. Thank you.
Yeah,
Brian,
that's much easier.
Brian, let me get you to address something else that I hear
Sure.
from people sometimes.
Sure.
Over here on either label, but let's go with the new label. if you move over from total fat 2.5 grams and you go to the right, you see that little 3%. Well, we
Yeah.
have people that think that that means it's 3% fat. Can you explain what that really means?
Sure, it's actually daily value. So you're getting 3% of the daily amount of fat you're supposedly supposed to get, again, according to the United States USDA. So all that is saying is this is how much of the percentage that you need. So it's actually really misleading because you read that and you're like, oh, that's only 3% of what I need in a day. So this should be fine. And so it's tricky. So just, again, these labels are complex. And I sometimes think it's on purpose. And again, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but it's like, I sometimes wonder if they just make them complex because they think they're making them easy, but they're actually not. It's not a no fat diet. It's just a no added fat diet. We want to keep fat down low, maybe 10% of our diet, 12% of our diet. And I'm trying to get to the fact that, like, you know, keep it under 25% and you should be okay. I mean, the reality is, as whole food plant-based eaters, we're not actually eating a lot of processed foods like this, but there are some. And so again, like, we get questions all the time, you know, what about this? What about that? And so I'm going to show you some examples of some stuff that's kind of borderline, but then also some stuff that's good as well as stuff that's bad. But great point. You know, what do those values mean? And so they're a little misleading. And also another thing, just remember as an aside, is always look at serving sizes too. So half a cup. I can't remember what this product is. In a moment, we'll look at some actual products. But you know, is this half a cup of soup? Is this but you know, that's not very much. And so if you're, you know, it often says, you know, 2 servings per container, and then you realize that it's really not very much food. So most likely you're going to have multiple servings. And that's another bit of math you got to do. All right, so let's look at an actual product. Thank you, Vicki. That was a great question. Here's Triscuits. Now, Triscuits are something I tend to be a snacker. I love crackers and things if I can find healthy ones. So let's take a look at this one. This is the new food label. The front label of the Triscuit box, of course, says it's a 100% whole grains, 24 grams per serving. That sounds pretty good. So, wow, we're getting our whole grains. And I know it's a little blurred, but the ingredients here are actually, the first ingredient is whole grain wheat. We like that. Wow. All right, Triscuit, Nabisco, thanks. So let's look at the numbers. We're looking at calories, 120 per serving. The serving is 6 crackers. You know, I could probably eat a lot more than 6, but just keep it in mind. 120 calories. Total fat calories are 3.5. So we're going to do our math and just multiply by 10. So we're at 35 calories from fat. And is that more than our 25%? Just a little bit, right? Just so this one's just over the line. So I'm not that freaked out by this one, but let's scroll down. Sodium, 160 milligrams per serving. Is that more than 120? Remember, we're doing that 1-to-1 ratio comparison. It is. So now we've got 2 dings. The first ding was, yeah, a little bit over. Maybe I could make an exception, but then it's like sodium. Nope. Too high in sodium. We don't like that. Let's look at the ingredients now. And I know it's a little blurred, but it says whole grain wheat. Second ingredient is canola oil. So right there, that's going to stop us dead in our tracks. We're going to be like, nope, it's got added oil. We don't like that. And then sea salt. So it's actually a really basic product, but we're probably going to avoid these. Now, Triscuit does make a low-fat version. So the challenge there is that it actually fits our guidelines, but it has canola oil added. And so especially for Dr. Esselstyn's heart patients, we really want to steer clear of any added oils. All right, so again, look at that. Vegetable oil, soybean, or canola oil. That's problematic. All right, I'm picking on crackers here. Wheat thins, once again, we'll do our little label reading ninja move here. 120 calories per serving. How many servings? 16 crackers. Okay, it's not so bad. 120, I'm probably going to easily eat 16. Total fat, 3.5. We're going to multiply by 10. Takes us to 35. So we know that that's a little over the line. We don't like this one. Let's go down to sodium. Whoa, 200 milligrams of sodium. That's way over our limit. So this product is already a problem. And then let's jump over to the ingredients. Whole grain wheat, we like that. Flour, look, third ingredient, sugar. Fourth ingredient, canola oil. Fourth ingredient, or fifth ingredient, malt syrup, which is sugar, by the way. It's another name for sugar. Then we got salt, and look, refiner's syrup, another type of sugar. And so we've got like 4 different kinds of sugar plus the other stuff. So wheat thins, no good. We're not doing it. Okay, Amy's. Amy's was one of those things when I first went plant-based before I met Jane, and Amy's products were just starting to be seen in different places like New York, California. This was early on. Amy's was one of those brands. It's like, all right, organic, you know, they get it. Of course, we're not going to believe any thing that's on the front. So look, it says USDA organic. That's a nice thing. It says non-BPA. I guess that means like the can doesn't have some sort of BPA plastic in it or something. So let's take a look. This is the old food label. So this one makes it a little easier. Calories, 280. Calories from fat, 80. Is that over our 25%? It is. So we know that this has some fat in it. We don't like that. Let's double check. We're going to scroll down. Look at the sodium amount. And remember, soups are really notorious for this. 680 milligrams of sodium. That is unbelievable. And that is grotesque. And so just know that a lot of processed foods, especially soups and even broths and things, will have a ton of salts. Look at that, way over the line. And then you can kind of see the ingredients. They're not as clear on the slide, but you can see it contains safflower oil and sunflower oil, and that's where the fat's coming from. All right, so I'm always a sucker for fancy packaging. You know, you walk into the store, it's like we have a store here called Fresh Time, which is kind of like a Whole Foods. We also have a Whole Foods nearby. You go in and they've got this new fancy cracker. And look at this. Look at what it's saying on the front. No refined starches, paleo/plant-based, no greasy fingers, no gluten, grains, sunflower oil, lecithins, no seed, no vegetable oils, no tapioca, no dairy, no soy, no maltodextrin, and no refined starches. So I'm thinking, get back to human grain-free crackers must be something good. Let's take a look. Okay, 120 calories per serving, 22 crackers. You know, that sounds good. This is the new food label. So we're looking at total fat, 7 grams. We're going to multiply by 10, 70. So 70 grams of fat in these crackers in a serving. And that's way, way over our line. Let's scroll down. Sodium, 300 milligrams. Let's take a look at the ingredients. Okay, grain-free flour blend. It's got like an almond organic coconut. Remember, anything with coconut is going to be a higher fat content. Sea salt, organic onion, blah, blah, blah. Coconut sap. So, you know, again, but then last but not least, look at the end, coconut oil. And if you know much about coconut oil or coconut butter or coconut cream, it is wildly full of saturated fat. So not so great. Then we've got our Impossible Burgers. A lot of our friends who are trying to go plant-based, who are sort of plant curious, will say, oh my gosh, you know, you guys must love these plant-based burgers. It's like, yeah, I tasted one time. It certainly tasted good, but let's be honest with ourselves. You know, when something tastes that good, it's probably not so great for you. So look at this. This is an Impossible Burger, 230 calories, total calories from fat, 130, right? So we're multiplying by 13 by 10, 130. So that is a lot of fat. And then look at sodium, 370. So again, lots of salt, lots of fat. And if you've ever looked at the ingredients of an Impossible Burger, there isn't any whole food in it at all. It's all just like soy isolates and pea proteins, and it's really kind of a Frankenburger, just to be honest. All right, now some good examples. Let's prove that there actually are products out there. So we look at the front label of this one. It's multigrain. It's got whole grains. It's verified non-GMO. We like all that, but we're not going to believe it until we read the ingredients. Calories in total, 35 per serving, which is just one of these crunchy crackers. Calories from fat, 0. We love that. So for those of you who've ever had one of these Wassa crackers, they're great for dipping into hummus, stuff like that. And let's look at the ingredients. whole grain white rye flour, sourdough, oat flakes, whole grain wheat flour, whole grain oat flour, whole grain barley flour, yeast, salt, barley malt extract. So it's got a little bit of sugar, but it's not in the first 4 ingredients. Sunflower lecithin, which is just, for making a preservative, help it out. So again, there we go. That's a good cracker. Now, you probably would have guessed this was coming, but we have to test my brother-in-law's products. So my brother-in-law, Rip, and Essie's son, has his own line of foods, Plant Strong. And so we got to put it to the test, as Dr. Greger would say, put it to the test. So look at all these labels on the front. Wow, it's only got a certain amount of sodium. It's USDA, it's non-GMO, it's vegan, it's 100% plant-based, it has no added sugar, it's lightly salted, it's oil-free. All this sounds awesome, but we got to read the label. So here we go. 1 serving is, well, really those containers are 1 serving. 370 calories, total calories from fat, 2 grams of fat times 10, 20. Does that fit our rule? Absolutely. Well done, Rip. Scroll down, sodium 360. Oh, they walked the fine line. They were worried. And remember, this is, Rip has to keep it right so he can, maintain his legitimacy as an Esselstyn. So 360 milligrams out of 370. And let's take a look at the ingredients. And if you read these ingredients, I will tell you that it's really it's food. It's actual food. Look at that. Organic corn, organic diced tomatoes, et cetera, et cetera. And so way to go, Rip. Nice job. All right, recap. We want to keep calories from fat under 25%. You got to do sometimes a little math work on the new labels. Just multiply grams of fat times 10. We want to make sure that our salt ratio is 1-to-1 or less. So ratio of calories to salt in milligrams, 1-to-1. We want to look for the words like whole, cracked, sprouted, rolled, or stone ground before the word wheat in the ingredients. We want to avoid any types of sugars in the first 3 ingredients. Anything ending in ose, remember, is a sugar, as well as things like cane, juice, malt, syrup, or sugar in the title. We want to avoid products that have added oils in it. And it's that easy. That's it. So what I'd like to do is turn it over to the shopping expert herself, Ann Esselstyn, along with Jane's help. And they're going to walk through some products and help us sort of connect the visual. I'm a visual learner, so I love to see the products, talk about the products, and then that will hopefully help you learn this all.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh, look who's here. Great. Ann and Jane. Yeah.
Okay.
Our favorite chat and chew group.
Oh.
Great. Well, I just want to start out saying that I think the biggest pitfall for anybody who is plant-based is the vegan junk food world. And it is horrible. And I think that people can get in worse trouble through that world than if they were eating the sad American diet. Industry does this amazing job right now of confusing people by changing the name of the products so that they sound really healthy. For instance, sugary drinks are called flavored waters. Potato chips are called veggie chips, and milkshakes or smoothies. Now, I want to just give you some examples. Here are organic garden veggie straws, Zesty Ranch. In this, and Brian did a fabulous job. I am so math deficient that I really have to look at the ingredients most of all.
Yeah.
And cane sugar, safflower oil, buttermilk powder, palm shortening, non-felt milk, and sour cream are all in here. If you don't read the ingredients, you wouldn't know it. Here is, and Brian mentioned Amy's products. This is Amy's Thai green curry.
Yum.
Now,
Sounds good.
well, sure, it sounds good. But I'm not even going to look at those other numbers. I just want to look at the ingredients because I am blown away. The second ingredient is coconut milk. Now, as Brian said, you just want to avoid that.
Coconut milk is scary.
1/4 cup of this coconut milk, 1/4 cup is 13 grams of fat. And of that, that's 14 actually, and of it is 13 grams of saturated fat. So, avoid coconut. If you love coconut, then you can get coconut extract and 1 teaspoon of that and a cup of alternative milk, and you have coconut milk.
Now, Anne, I am going to do that. I'm going to put my coconut extract in an empty can so no one will know that it's not the real thing. Love it.
Yes.
I find, so in this Amy's product, and Amy is all over the place. There is, as I said, coconut milk, but then there is another safflower oil, and there's a cane sugar and brown sugar. So, I mean, they have to change the sugar so that the sugar doesn't go earlier up.
Yeah, they have to, because it's volumetric, so they have to change types of sugar, so it seems like there's less and less. But you combine them, they'd be probably more than the coconut oil.
Then, this is cauliflower crust. This almost got me, because I thought, ooh, cauliflower crust. Now that could be really delicious. However, you've got to read the ingredients. Mozzarella cheese and egg whites are in here. So it is so important to read the ingredients. Now, here is something where I read the ingredients. I love no cheese. And so I thought, oh, the ingredients were good. I mean, there was no problem. And truthfully, I brought this without reading the nutrition facts.
You bought it. No.
I bought it.
Yeah.
So it said one serving, and this comes in 2 little sections. And when I looked at it, I was like, holy crow, because it is 920 milligrams of sodium for half a cup. And who eats half a cup? So then that's actually 1,840 milligrams of sodium.
Oh my.
So it is so key to read ingredients. And I have one other thing, Jane, I want to just mention about reading ingredients that really blew my mind. One of the vegetable broth stocks that we have always liked is Kitchen Basics. And it's got wonderful ingredients. And then, this is a number of years ago, along came their organic vegetable stock. So I thought, well, now that's even better.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I looked at the ingredients, and guess what is in it? Cane sugar, cane syrup, cane sugar, molasses, 3 kinds of sugar.
Oh my gosh.
170 milligrams of sodium per cup. So I can only urge you all to read ingredients.
Yeah, and not to foil what Brian just did so beautifully. And you guys were following every step of the way is to read the label, but it is misleading. It goes from percentages, which is a math ratio, to grams, which is different than milliliters, which is different than calories, which is different than tablespoons or quarter cups. It is intentionally deceptive. So reading the ingredients truly is the best way to know what is in the food. Obviously, there's some products we're going to buy in the store. So we're going to head into some of those products that we do buy now.
Well, one of it, right, but now I was just looking at this. Brian mentioned how much he likes the whole wheat matzahs. And they are, as Brian said, the crazy ingredients.
I can't stand them.
Jane.
Go ahead, go.
So the ingredients are whole wheat flour and water, period.
That's fine.
So beside them is another kind of matzah. Matzah with unsalted. So that sounds, wow, that's interesting. But guess what? You got to read ingredients. You just have to do it because unbleached wheat flour, which is white flour, canola oil, and malt, which is a sugary thing. So, hey, you've got to read ingredients. Okay, I just had to get that in.
No, so let's continue.
And thanks for doing that, because just the other day, one of our new members, she asked me, it's okay to eat the plant foods, isn't it? And I looked at her and she says, the plant foods like the boxed burgers and all of those things. And now
Oh,
that opportunity.
no, all those vegan, they're sort of usurping or hijacking the term plant-based because it's so trendy now. So whole food plant-based is what we're clinging to because it doesn't include all that fractionated oils and sweeteners and whatnot. So what shall we, what are we looking at?
Yeah, also, for new coming people into the plant-based world. I have to say something that I feel very proud and strong about. Say strong.
Yeah.
It is our son Rip has started a line of food called Plant Strong. And and Brian gave you an example of his products are going to meet all Brian's guidelines. And there are so many of them, and they're more every minute. And I want to just call your attention to 4, and I only have
6 or 8.
This is an oat and walnut milk, and this is an oat, and this one is unsweetened. This one is sweetened with some dates. That also comes in almond, unsweetened, and almond and walnut sweetened. And they are fabulous. In fact, I was just talking to Rick, and he had a friend who called him and said, I just found your milks at Whole Foods and they're so good. Out of the blue, somebody. So they are wonderful. This is a good milk Oatly makes, but Oatly makes 3 or 4 different kinds of their in the same section. And only the white milk has no added oil.
The white box,
The white box. And the other ones all add oil. It is so key when you're buying alternative milks. Jane doesn't like
non-dairy
milks. And that you look at what is in them.
Some of these brands try to be like, oh, we're barista friendly or the barista version. That means they whip up well, which means they probably have coconut oil, palm oil, some sort of oil in there to make it have that whippy mouth feel. What's another milk option?
Well, all of the rice milks have oil added. Canola milk has oil.
No, canola is oil. You mean cashew
Milk. Cashew milk.
Canola milk.
Canola milk. Oh.
Cashew milk has oil as the second ingredient. So just please read
the ingredients.
Yeah, good.
So this is another great milk is Pacific Foods makes a oat milks and other kinds. We love this version. It's just the original. They do have one that's chocolate. They've got all kinds of stuff, but like the original unsweetened.
The only negative on this is that they put some enzyme in it, which somehow or other makes it higher in sugar. So there's no added actual sugar.
It's just oats, but it cleaves the sugar molecule, so it's twice as sweet.
So
Just like when you add vinegar to your fudge back in the day, it would make your it'll make it a little sweeter because it cleaves the sugar molecule.
Well, that explains, my husband got the oat milk and he thought it was too sweet. And so that was why we got no added sugar, but that little trick was sweet.
Yeah.
I would love to show you. I am big on no sodium products. I mean, if you're going to use sodium,
Control it.
but don't buy your products loaded with it. And so always look when you're buying canned beans for no salt act, and they exist. And Rhinesea makes one that's quite everywhere. And Whole Foods 365 has a no salt added bean. Cooners, there are just a number of them out there, but you have to look.
And your dollar is your vote, and they will get what you like, because if you're going to buy it, they'll carry it.
And speaking of beans, it has been impossible to find
Veggie burgers
that follow the guidelines
until
of course, we have these awesome Plant Strong, portobello, black bean, and then there's a curry.
Curry, there's 3
One,
kinds,
two.
but we ate the other night, so we don't have the sample, sorry.
And they are wonderful. You just add water or broth, and then
It was
you
so
let them
cool.
sit a minute, and then, I mean, they're just amazing.
They set then in like a thickened batter almost, and then you warm them and on a skillet or on a tray in the oven. Then they're done. They're great. I like anything that will carry my ketchup and mustard and lettuce, tomato, and onion and no.
It's about the
It's all about toppings.
I like barbecue sauce. So then we have just recently discovered these actual veggies. This is super greens, this is black bean, and
They're
Well,
wonderful.
let me
They're
just
actually made from veggies.
read the ingredients on it.
Where did you find those, Ann?
They're in the frozen food department, often under non-meat or
Yeah,
non.
but yeah, broccoli, white bean, oat, parsnip, yellow onion, pea, kale, spinach, chickpea flour, cannellini beans, zucchini, quinoa, hemp hearts, oat flour, otava seed, green spirulina, lemon spice, garlic powder, kosher salt, white pepper, and onion powder. I mean, it's actually veggies. And this is very similar. Black bean, carrot, parsnip, oat, onion, red pepper, onion, chickpea flour, oat flour, lemon, purple carrot. I mean, just more the exact same ending. And they are just wonderful.
And there's 240 milligrams of sodium. So, you know, they have some, it's
And
maybe a little more than you want, but it's an option to have that around. And then here's another one, there's no bull, which has also got surprisingly good ingredients, a little bit higher in sodium.
And just a little, I should just add, if anyone out there is watching this and is curious about trying some of these products, ask your store for actual veggies, they will carry it. I know that Plant Strong products are limited to where they can be found location wide. I mean, like some of these products, you know, are just, they're in lots of stores. They're in Kroger's, they're in Giant Eagles, they're in Albertsons.
But Plant
Publix,
Strong products
but-
are moving out into
but-
lots of stores.
Plant Strong products are moving out, and if you're interested, for a discount, you can use code Jane15, like mine, JANE15, and you'll get about 15% off of your product. This helps them know who's interested, where they live, where they can try to locate. So it goes both ways.
And let me just give you a few, sorry, I just have to do this, a few more of these products. Because of all of the vegetable broths out there, all of any I've ever seen, the only ones that add no sodium are the Plant Strong. And there are 4 different kinds. There's the veggie, there is the sofrito, there is the mushroom, and there is the corn, sweet corn broth. And I have a really great corn sort of chowder thing, and it's so nice to make it with that corn broth.
That sounds,
Okay, in the last 5 minutes, you guys, we're gonna move into some more of the,
Wait,
like
wait,
the grains
wait.
and the
yeah, we gotta talk.
grains and some seasonings and toppings. Okay, let's come on over.
Yeah.
All right, Anne, whip it out. And she has her order that she presents. You go. Oh, sorry. We have to move this way with it. I thought we were gonna move. Okay. Some of these products, why do we choose these? For a variety of reasons. Brian talks about how you have to have the word brown in front of the grains or whole. And that brown rice, when you're getting it, just make sure it just has brown rice, not brown rice and white rice, brown rice. You can get it, this is a boil in a bag, you can get brown rice prepared at like a Trader Joe's. There's just bags of brown rice, you add a little bit of water and microwave it, ta-da-ta-da. And
But you know something, they are never as good as when you make the rice yourself.
okay, and they aren't, but when you're in a hurry, some people are just in a crazy hurry, the options out
Oh,
there.
yeah.
And people say like, oh, it's too expensive, can't do it, don't have enough time. There's always an answer.
You get home and you've forgotten to put the rice somewhere, you have dinner in 2 minutes.
I mean, even Bird's Eye has a brown rice in a package, and it contains just cooked brown rice. That's really what we want, and I love how they make it easy. It isn't always easy elsewhere. But also some other whole grain products. You want to talk about what you just brought out, Lonnie?
What, I will.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but also this is the Dia cheese.
I know now.
No, but I wanted to tell you why it is such a bad thing. It has got coconut oil and canola oil. That's what it's made up of. So there is absolutely no possible cheese out there, except the closest may be nutritional yeast.
Yeah, but anything that melts has got oil in it. So bread products, some people like to lean hard on bread products, and it's kind of nice to not totally lean on bread products, because you want to have a variety of grains in your body and your belly. So quinoa, brown rice, get in
Barley.
barley, freekeh. I'm blanking on all the other ones we use at our merchants. We have so many different variety. Millet, it's a great one, and corn, all kinds of rice, oats. But here, this is an English muffin by our old favorite Ezekiel and Food for Life. All their products are good.
Oh, but
And-
let me just tell you about Ezekiel products. This is the only bread out there with no added sodium. Bread is the highest place almost of anywhere of sodium. And they come in all kinds of different flavors. This is their sesame seed. This is their tortillas. And this is their flax and 4.9 flax. So they are available mostly in the frozen food sections. Say Trader Joe's has it fresh.
Want to talk about those? We'll get the next thing up.
Oh, and then
Dan,
If you-
can I ask a question about one of the Ezekiel ones? So that is a wheat wrap, is that what that one is?
They're wheat breads. No,
Yeah,
they're not wraps, those are breads.
no, but she showed a wrap.
Yeah,
Yes.
sorry.
the
Yeah,
Ezekiel wraps I love.
Yeah,
They
those
are
are,
not very flexible.
Flexible enough.
You gotta heat them up a little bit.
So if you like pizza, there is a really nice pizza crust made by Sammy's Bakery out of Orlando.
And it's
which
a
is
foundation.
millet and flax.
Yeah, foundation of millet and flax, and it's great for our gluten-free friends too. They also make breads and buns,
Nice.
no added oil.
And then the most amazing thing, Plant Strong has come out with this crazy good pizza crust. And in each one, there is a little container of pasta sauce that you put, that goes on it.
This packaging is no longer says engine 2, it says Plant Strong.
Yeah, that's an old packaging, but that's cool.
That's very cool. Pita bread is also a great product that we love to lean on for people who are on the go. And you can always find 100% whole grain pita pockets out there. And if not, push and ask for them.
Do you notice how tall I am? Hey, the other thing is baking powder. Payne makes a featherweight baking powder that has no added sodium. And most baking powders, 1/8 of a teaspoon is 80 milligrams of sodium. Nobody uses an egg. So you end up getting a lot of sodium, so you don't need it.
Yeah, secret sodium sneaking in.
If you choose, you can also get mustards without sodium. So just, you gotta read ingredients. I mean, this is a silly little thing. Pommy and these crushed tomatoes. Pommy is usually really good and it just has tomatoes and no salt. But right beside it is another one which adds 170 milligrams of sodium. So if you read ingredients, you can get the right one.
And to refer back to Brian's math about sodium being 1-to-1, right, Brian?
Yep.
Calories wise, there are 15 calories per serving here. So how many milligrams of sodium? We're comparing calories to milligrams, but how many milligrams of sodium should we have? If it's 15 calories, we should have
15.
15. But we have how much sodium?
I can't.
170.
Oh.
This is 10 times too salty. No, thank you.
So,
My last message about reading ingredients is gonna come with this funny story.
so funny. So this is baby food prunes. And baby food prunes on the shelf, I've lost my baby food prunes, the other one. It has just got prunes.
Why would you buy baby food prunes? What do you use?
Oh, it's so nice to use prunes
And the
instead
sweetener.
as a sweetener, especially in something chocolate. It's great.
Really?
So beside it,
Dark and sweet and mysterious.
beside it, instead of applesauce, you can use it. There was an organic one. And guess what the organic baby food prunes added? Tuna oil.
Not even a plant-based food, yeah. Poor babies eating tuna oil.
So I have to read you something before we go.
I wanted to add some up before you go, because I like your ending. You didn't talk about these at all.
Oh, these are wonderful to have on your shelf for emergency times. And they're the soups and stews of Plant Strong. And they are absolutely delicious, easy to heat up. They're wonderful to travel.
Yeah, and they're-
And
they-
they're at Whole Foods and also other
Yeah, and they're
markets.
shelf stable, so that's why when you order from Plant Strong, and again, Jane 15, if you want a discount, they will know where you're coming from, and that helps us try to figure out where to move the next like location of where they're gonna have on shelves. But what I want to emphasize here is Brian's discussion about reading a label is really key when you're in the middle of the store. When you're looking at products and trying to buy, like even like what pasta do I want to get? Like, because you're not going to find pasta in the produce section. Produce section obviously has no labels because they're all good, with the exception of like coconut and some of the things for heart disease. But what we have found and the way that we make our way through the store is we simply read ingredients. If something on that list is something we don't want to eat,
Mhm.
we don't get it. We do get some things like ketchup we know have sugar in them, like barbecue sauce. And
Yeah, that's a common question, Jane.
like
People often-
condiments are treated a little bit differently because
You know,
on our big, here's our burger with our tomatoes and our onions and our this and our that and we're using of ketchup on that. And so we have a little allowances for condiments, and I really love Jeff Novick's discussion about condiments and the usage of them. We don't make this exception with anything with oil, however, because of our heart disease patients. So thank you for letting that be an odd asterisk, if you will. But reading the ingredients is so informative of whether or not to move forward. And if you read the ingredients, you sometimes put a product down, even though it looks great. And sometimes you pick them up because you're so surprised and excited.
Well, I think doing what you said, Brian, truly makes possible eating sometimes things that you might not think of eating. Okay, I just have to say, I love this quote and I want to send it out to all of you wonderful chat and chewers. And that is, plant-based eating is the secret passage to life and health, like falling down the rabbit hole in Alice in Wonderland and emerging on the other side where so many of the most common health issues are gone. And the food is just all good because you've read the labels and the ingredients.
Love it.
Thank you, guys. It's so fun to work with Chat and Chew. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your interest, and thanks for spreading the word.
And thank you. This will be so good for our new kale blazers that are coming in. That
Yeah.
we used to do grocery stores, but we store tours with COVID, that backed out. And now we got something on video they can learn from. Thank you.